A lot of people have lost faith in healthcare in Nigeria. I did some research and I realized that annually, over $2 billion is spent on medical tourism outside of Nigeria. Medicine in Nigeria is a different ballgame. Medicine anywhere in the world is pretty much plug and play. Nigeria is a different place, if you ask me. Everything in Nigeria is special.
What does plug and play mean?
Okay, so let's use the example that you used. It's impossible. It's a taboo to have a functioning ambulance without oxygen in it.
Okay.
It's a jailable offense. Like somebody did not do their job, and that's probably a technician or a paramedic or someone. You get, but you see those kind of things happen in Nigeria, and it looks like the order of the day. It looks like a normal thing. It looks more like, Oga, why are you overreacting? And Nigeria we have this anyhowness of doing things, and we've taken it. Everybody, from the big men to everybody has taken it into what they do. We should be able to equip our primary health centers with as little as family physicians, people who can treat the basics, not just general practitioners here. No matter how equipped the center is, if you don't have skilled hands, it's as good as any other building.
Okay. Hi guys, back again. So if you're like me, if you've ever lost someone, you have this whole mindset about life, a very different mindset. In 2020, I lost my dad. I lost him because I'm not sure if that's the whole reason, right? But I lost him generally because I had to drive from VI down to Ikeja without oxygen in the ambulance. By the time I took him here, his oxygen level was about 95%, which is already bad enough. Then he didn't have oxygen in the ambulance for most of the journey, and I had to drive down to Yaba. I think Yaba there. Then we were having COVID, and they just got into a stroke and everything. No hospital will take you from VI until you get to Yaba. And since then my mind started going around. People tell me, oh, it's because of the bad healthcare in Nigeria. But the bad healthcare, they didn't put the bad oxygen. They didn't basically fail to fill the canister. The bad healthcare, they didn't make sure I had to drive without an assistant. The bad healthcare, they didn't make sure we were all alone at 9 p.m. on our way to Yaba. It wasn't the government. It was the hospital. It was a human being who made those decisions. So today, I basically, this is so since then, this topic has been a major part of my entire thinking. Do the government need to do better? Yes. Do people need to do better? Yes. But what really is good healthcare? What really is bad healthcare? When you travel abroad, you do all these checkups. What do you get, really? Is it that you get buildings? Oh yeah, we could build buildings. Do you get better people? We have better people here. But what really is good healthcare? Because everything exists everywhere. But the question is, what do we call good when we say good? So yeah, today I'm with Dr. Busola Ayelowo. I got that name correctly. Yes. So, and she's doing quite a lot on medical field. And I feel one of the things, I saw a piece she did about how to be safe on Dirty December. And I'm like, okay, good one. So let's come on, because Lagos is full in December. So, and which was actually a very interesting one, because I always say people underestimate how much people and how much intention is around Dirty December. People travel, cheap flights, all sort of flights to come to Lagos. Airbnbs are now going crazy off everything. So yeah, so today, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you coming around.
Thank you for having me.
So yeah, we were speaking before this, and you were like, you're telling me you're one of those people who basically had to go through your career very fast, and nobody really. You wish you could have somebody there that would actually. But how has that been? Especially in the medical field, where everybody is like, when you get to the level, you're like an oga. Everybody must be able to. How has it been?
I'm not sure what the right word is. Especially the fact that medicine in Nigeria is a different ballgame. Medicine anywhere in the world is pretty much plug and play.
Okay, I will need you to explain that further.
Medicine in Nigeria is different. Nigeria is a different place, if you ask me. Everything in Nigeria is special. So going through my career very fast at a young age, challenging but very exciting. But I think for me, it was more of being a woman. It was more difficult that I was a young female rising through my career that fast. Take it or leave it, there is that stereotype, there is, for lack of a better word, racism. But overall, it's been very interesting. It's been very challenging. I have come to realize that so many things won't work as I expected to. And instead of just complaining and nagging through it, or find solutions, or at least not contribute to the problem.
Okay. I still want to understand. So indulge me a bit.
Yes.
When you say plug and play, what does that entail? So if I was in, I'll pick a typical, very common UK, for example, in the UK. What does plug and play mean?
Okay, so let's use the example that you used. It's impossible. It's a taboo to have a functioning ambulance without oxygen in it.
Okay.
It's a jailable offense. Like somebody did not do their job, and that's probably a technician or a paramedic or someone. Do you get? But you see those kind of things happen in Nigeria, and it looks like the order of the day. It looks like a normal thing. It looks more like, Oga, why are you overreacting? It's just oxygen here and there. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So, like I said, there's just basic things that we take for granted in Nigeria. Basic, for lack of the right word to use, let me say basic necessities that look like luxury here. And that's why I said medicine in Lagos is medicine in Nigeria is completely different. Medicine in Lagos is even more decent. When I moved back to Nigeria, I had to do a conversion exam, and then I was sent off to Zaria. It was a completely different ballgame. I thought I had seen it all. It's different out there. So Lagos is still very decent, but we're still not there yet. There's still
How would you
lot.
compare both of them? Zaria, Lagos, how would you compare?
I think it's unfair to compare Zaria with Lagos in terms of healthcare.
Okay.
I was at the teaching hospital, who happened to be the biggest there, but they used what they have to make it work. They saved lives the way they could, the best way they could. Lagos is still better. There's some hospitals in Lagos where where it's an offense not to have oxygen in your ambulance. In Zaria, it's probably just one oxygen, and then there's someone who really needs it. Yours is transportation. Someone needs it to take that next breath, to stay alive for the next second. So there are two different things, two different scenarios. I don't think it's fair to compare them. But yes, Lagos is definitely doing better in terms of healthcare. In terms of healthcare anywhere in Nigeria, I think Lagos is still taking the lead. So, yes.
Okay, so, and don't get, I'm just trying to bring a context around this whole thing. And the point is, so take, for example, what I see you describe from you now is that there is one, the infrastructure side. Like, okay, do we have enough oxygen provided to these hospitals? But I think that's more on the public side that we can ask that question. If you are running a private hospital, that becomes a private question. It's like, okay, why are you not having, nobody should even be saying, do you have enough oxygen? It's now, you build the hospital, do you have enough? Why are you not getting enough oxygen into things? Do you think is there a part? So let me try to reference this again. You have the primary healthcare side. That is basically more, okay, government, everything. Okay, no problem. But then there is everybody running all of the variations, more or less, from there. How much involvement does government have with people outside of those primary healthcare sectors?
I think there's little or no involvement. I think the only involvement that government has with private sector is probably just regulatory boards, and that's about it.
Okay.
But I think that the question you're trying to ask is, like you said, governments don't have involvement in structures and infrastructures on private sector. But I think as human beings, Nigeria we have this anyhowness of doing things, and we've taken it, everybody, from the big men to everybody has taken it into what they do. And that's what has come to healthcare also. Again, like I said, there's been a lot of improvements. You've seen a lot of people improve now. You'll see a lot of better quality healthcare. I've experienced surgeries that have never been done anywhere in Africa being done in Lagos now. So yes, there's definitely a lot of improvement, but we still have a very long way to go. Because sadly, with these improvements, makes the healthcare very expensive. So it means it's not still accessible to everybody. And that's still where the problem is, because it means that only those who are privileged can access this type of healthcare.
Okay, so let me keep you in the primary healthcare space a bit. So now we have a lot of what's it called, primary healthcare centers. At least, well, by let's just say for the sake of this conversation, we have a lot. Half of them, maybe 90% of them, when you put the infrastructure that is required in place, it becomes from a lot you go to this tiny. But at the same time, every time you see something very serious happen, even in a lot of all these private hospitals, you get referred to the loot, the other sites. So is it that, are we keeping the specialists in the wrong place? Or I don't know if I'm making sense in any way. So just please enlighten me. I want to understand, what I'm trying to understand is what really is a problem with the primary healthcare centers?
I don't think there's a problem with primary health centers. I think that we are just not triaging medical conditions well enough. So, for example, the typical primary health center in Nigeria should be likened to something like a clinic abroad or a doctor's office. It's pretty much for primary headaches, temperatures, the likes, and probably help triage into where they should go to. Some people go to secondary, some go to tertiary organizations. Again, the reason why you see a lot of people go from primary health centers to the likes of LUTs and tertiary is because that's probably where the consultants are based. And now what we're trying to do, or what I've been advocating for, is more consultants having doctor offices, because going into all those tertiary hospitals come with long queues, long wait times, overbooked calendars, which makes it almost impossible to see the consultant in real time. So I think that what the issue here is, we should be able to equip our primary health centers with as little as family physicians, people who can treat the basics, not just general practitioners here, people who can decongest the tertiary facilities. That's what I think the issue is.
Okay, but so let's now try to go from there now. So now you have a primary care guy sitting down and saying, okay, you know what? You have a headache, use paracetamol. You have this, use this one. Now, but a lot of times, what I've seen is that if I look at this zone, this area we're in now, if you walk down to find anywhere that is not actually like a proper hospital, like a primary health, that you could just walk in and say, okay, I just have a headache, what's up? And it's not a chemist or whatever it is. It's very difficult. So these centers, is it that, because I find if you go to Ogun State, for example, they're easy to find. You find less of the big offices. You find more of all these government centers and everything. So, but do the healthcare sector, what really they need? Is it that we need more people, more centers? Because for me, I've been questioning my brain every day that what really is this good healthcare we are looking for? What is missing? I've never seen anyone say, okay, let's do step 1, boom, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Because when Nigeria was in a bad financial situation, like we didn't have a proper system with the banks, guess what? First step, recapitalize. Second step, can the banks do X, Y? Regulations were clear, and then it led us where we are. Same thing, telecoms. Oh, first step, policy A, policy B. NCC did this, NCC did that. What is the roadmap that anybody has said, oh, we want to do healthcare reform in Nigeria? Point A, B, C, D, E, F.
That's very interesting. I think the first thing will be skills. Because no matter how equipped the center is, if you don't have skilled hands, it's as good as any other building.
Okay, so people.
So I think it's a people thing, then I think it's a maintenance culture. Because You say you don't have so many primary health care. It's almost impossible because in Lagos alone, off the top of my head, every local government has a primary health center. So if we have, I'm not sure how many local governments we have, but let's, for the purpose of this, use that we have 70 local governments in Lagos. It means that we, at the very least, we have 70 primary health centers.
Which puts us at around more than, let's say, 16 million in Lagos.
Again, those numbers are not correct, but I'm just saying. But it means that for every local government you're in, you should have at least one primary health center. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have access to health. But you walk into primary health centers, if you're lucky enough to find a doctor, if you want
to find anybody there.
Well, let's just say if you're lucky enough to find a doctor in there, the doctor has very limited resources. And you'll be surprised that when that primary health center was commissioned, they had everything. So the maintenance control in Nigeria is very poor. That brings me back to my anyhowness. We do everything anyhow. We don't put so much importance, urgency, and priority into how we deal with certain things. So I think that's also another problem. But for me, I think it's equipment and people. I don't think it's a structural thing. And that's why I always tell people that, and that's not what the government is going to do for you, because the government they've created these facilities. It's now left for us to treat them nicely and we'll meet them when we need them. That's how I look at it.
Okay, but what's the structure of a primary healthcare center? For instance, is it government run or they're privately owned in most cases?
No, every primary health center in Lagos right now is government run.
Okay.
It's government run. But now we've pretty much, private people are beginning to divert into smaller spaces, but not necessarily, they're not called primary health centers. So like I said, they're called like doctor's office, you see clinic here and there, where you can treat basic things. But I think the Nigerians are very fond of, if anything is wrong, because we have to go to a multi-specialist hospital. Again, it just means that they have to do a lot of awareness, a lot of desensitization on where to go to for what, where to do what. I see a lot of pharmacies coming up with like care hubs where you can walk in there, get your blood drawn, speak to maybe a practitioner, I'm not sure how it runs there, and then get simple diagnoses or be referred to somewhere else. But like I said, everywhere else in the world, you have no business in a tertiary facility if you've not gone through the ladder of primary care, at the very least a specialist consultation who has not referred you to see anybody else in the tertiary facility.
Okay, so based on what we've just, let me tell you my dilemma. So right now, I feel healthcare in Nigeria, people spend a lot of money outside of Nigeria to treat themselves. Now, so there is a market for it. So I'm not talking government-run private health centers now. I'm talking actual human beings that went to school to study medicine that feel, okay, you know what, I want to make money for myself. I feel like average person in Nigeria does not maybe, they need just a simple doctor to say, oh, it's a headache you have, it's malaria you have, use this drug, it's this you have, use this. So the same thing a primary health center would do. Which means if I go and use the Redeem model, Redeem Christian Church of God model, say I want to put a church every X number of meters away from each other. And I say, me as a human being, I want to just become the primary health care lord in Nigeria. So let me put a center every 2 kilometers. Is it that people are not willing to pay for that service? Why is it that the private sector has literally said, okay, you know what? Let's leave it to the government. As government centers are bad, then primary health care is just.
I don't think we've left it to the government. I recently opened for lack of a better word, a clinic. And like you said earlier, there's a lot of money being going out. The reason why I opened Medics Partners was because I did some research and I realized that annually over $2 billion is spent on medical tourism outside of Nigeria.
$2 billion.
Yes. And the only reason why people do this.
Wait, let me write that number.
Yes.
2.
Healthcare is not cheap anyway.
9 zeros behind.
Yes, 9 zeros. And then when you ask this question as to why they go to these places or what they do is the typical person who values his life, doesn't want to gamble with what is available. Again, a lot of people have lost faith in healthcare in Nigeria. So people want to go abroad, get certain things done, do it in such a way. And I always tell people that there's a lot of jackpot happening in healthcare. It's the same people that were here that are going there. Why are they doing it better there? It's because there's structure, there's regulation, there's law and order. You're accountable to someone. You have to do certain things a certain kind of way.
Okay.
To get things done. So when I was opening Medics Partners, I said, you know what? I'm trying to solve a problem here. People want to go abroad. What if I bring back those same caliber of doctors to Nigeria? So that bet it. So what we do now is we bring diaspora doctors back to Lagos, give you the same level of care that you get anywhere in the world. And believe me, Nigerians are paying for it. You just need to build trust. You just need to prove to them that they can get. Because again, for example, with you now, you've had a bad experience with healthcare. It'll be very hard for me to tell you that, oh, see, Mr. Mira, you need to go into this facility to get things done. You're going to have doubts. Just like every other thing in life, you have to build the trust again. And that's basically what healthcare needs to do. They need to build that trust again. They need to be able to let people have confidence in what they are doing. So yes, there's been a couple of primary health centers here and there. But the reason why you're not seeing lots of them is because the barrier for entry is very, very high.
What do you mean?
Medical equipment are not cheap. If you must do it right.
Okay.
That's the only way that differentiates you from what we already have existing. So a typical laboratory will run into millions. Typical diagnostic will run into hundreds of millions of naira. So it's not particularly cheap. And that's why people don't venture into such businesses and they just leave it to the government because they're like, maybe it's that role.
So take, for example, investing in app. People build apps that nobody is using. They throw millions of dollars at them. Now, why is a question. I think it's always based on, one, marketability of the whole process, and two is, do people believe that there's a future for it? So now, in healthcare, I think one of the things that people have really underestimated is the value of, one, I feel, proper management in terms of, so there is the doctors. And I always say this thing, every sector I look in Nigeria, experts are the ones managing the process, which is a good thing.
They do things, like I said, they do things accordingly.
Exactly. So if you go into, but I feel like those doctors need to start having doctors who are actually trained to be business owners. You understand? That's the doctor CEOs, the people that are actually more into scaling. Now, wait, hold on. Now, what I'm trying to say is this, because when people tell me, oh, yeah, the investment in Nigeria is not so great, healthcare is not so amazing. My first question is it that investors are no longer interested in things that people pay for? If there's a market, would they not pay for it? But I understand the fact that the trust system is already bad enough. So if you are putting your money into a trust system that is bad, who will pay? But my own is simple. The biggest complaint in Nigeria today is lack of primary health care. At least that I hear. Maybe there might be other ones. But primary health care is considered, the centers are bad. This is okay. So, if for us to say, and don't get me wrong, I'm trying to put a pin on this good health care we talk about. Because if you go abroad, and you want to get treated, before you even get to see a consultant, unless you are basically dying, you will still go and queue with a GP that tells you, oh, this is what is wrong with you. I think we can just do a small massage for your neck and your neck is fine. But no, you need a surgery to this thing. Those sort of things. So people live here, get into a plane, go queue to say, when am I seeing a specialist? But then, so I want to use the model of a country that you go to now. So you go out, you say, I am sick and I need a surgery. First thing, you're going to need to go actually confirm you need a surgery, first of all. So that's number one. Number two, you are going to need to go and say, okay, now I need a date. They put you on the queue. If you are lucky enough, You're not under NHSQ. But those sort of things. So now you go down, then you get to the queue, you get to the consultant, he sees you, he treats you, life is good. My issue is that process, as amazing and simple as it sounds, why is that first level not being explored in the private sector?
There are two sides to it.
Okay.
The first one I would say is always about investments in healthcare. There are a lot of people who have money, but then again, it's also, like I said, is a risky thing because you have to invest in what you believe in. So one, you have to find people who understand, resonate, and are passionate about it. Because it's not a typical businessman wants to put money in today and wants to know what his ROI is in 12 months. It doesn't work like that with healthcare. You have to be passionate about it. You have to understand
the impact investment.
You have to understand how long it will take for it to have returns. Another arm is we have too many doctors wanting to run hospitals. There are two different things. As good as it sounds, as amazing as doctors are, they're very poor business people. I use myself as an example. I make terrible business decisions every day, and that's why I stepped away from management of my practice.
Interesting.
Yes, because we've been taught to be very empathic, very passionate, very, people don't believe, but doctors are very soft people, and you can't run business like that. So let me use an example. I used to run a dialysis center. I used to own a dialysis center. And day in, day out, you see a lot of people coming with kidney failures. Dialysis is financially consuming. Kidney failure is a nerve-wracking illness. And then I walk into the center and see this guy there. He's like, oh, I need this next dialysis was going to keep my life. He doesn't have money to pay. And I'm like, okay, no, that's different for free. It happens, but the bills are running in. At the end of the month, you have to pay the nurse who ran it. You have to buy consumables. You have to do this. You have to do that. So you see a lot of, that's just a rough example. You see a lot of doctors opening hospitals, opening primary health centers today, and it's running down after like 6-7 months. Not because they're not great doctors, but because they're not great business people. They're not able to draw the line. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't be empathic or anything, but it's still a business. Anyhow you look at it, we're in the business to make money. And so that's why I say to people that most hospitals that you see that attempt successful or attempt to have stood the test of time, they're run by business people. And the doctors face what they actually went to school to learn, which is the medicine, and not the actual business itself.
Okay.
So I'm glad that there are now there are a lot of business courses, there are a lot of MBAs, a lot of master's programs for business in healthcare that will help doctors make better business decisions. But up until then, that's one of the issues.
Okay, so let me, and that's actually a very sensitive structure. So system. Now, you just raised an example. Somebody is going to die tomorrow. Let's say, for the sake of this conversation, he needs a test. The hospital would go bankrupt if they do not get money for it. Now, the hospital says, I can't treat you. The guy says, I don't have money. The guy dies tomorrow, hospital continues to exist. Flip side. So I always like to put myself in every situation, right? And the way I've learned to run businesses is to learn to, your biggest weapon as a business owner is knowing the things you can control. So when people tell me, we can't keep offering free services, I agree. But the biggest point is that it's actually easier to continue to run free services than to continue to run paid services. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I think so.
I'm curious to know why.
Exactly. So one thing I've never seen people do, people go and start hospitals. I've seen many people come to me and say, I want to raise money for this healthcare stuff. And I'm going to always say, no, I'm not interested. Why? Because every time I see these people, the first thing that comes to my head is that what you put in front of me is money. When you put money and you put healthcare together, you can make a return on an impact-based investment.
And that's why I said initially that the issue with funding in healthcare in Nigeria is that the investor has to understand it. He has to be passionate about it.
Wait 1 second. I'm going somewhere. What I've never seen in Nigeria, the one thing I've never seen is that I've never seen a medical doctor passionate about saving lives raise a single. I've never seen, the way you have all these funds that do grants in abroad, like boom, all over. Like they just like these are funds that people that care about philanthropy put in a certain fund, and they should use that fund to go and say save lives, for example. But you know what that fund will do in Nigeria if you give it to somebody? It's going to be used to buy G wagons and everything. So the real problem. So take for example, somebody opens a. I'll take Uracare. Uracare is a. I like the hospital. I walk by it almost every day, and I'm like, oh wow, amazing stuff you get done here. No, we're not.
Because I used to work there.
No, I understand.
Okay. Podcast.
No, wala.
No, but yes, I get what you're trying to say. But continue.
So let's just take a standard hospital in Nigeria. You have this big building, amazing stuff in there. And then the first question is, I have these specialists, this set of specialists, they are big and humongous. We have 25 specialists registered to us, but everybody is thinking, how do we pay for it? Because guess what? That hospital is built on the principle of impact, that it will save lives. But it is run on the principle of return, that it must make money. So every time I see hospitals in Nigeria and they tell me, oh, the bill is 2 million naira, you have to go and bring 3.5 so that we're sure we're this and so. Guess what? If you go to a standard private hospital anywhere in the world, that's what they tell you. Put this money on the table, we'll treat you. But that same private hospital will tell you there are some programs that are available. This is X, this is Y, this is A, this is B. Nigerian professionals need to know how to augment the controllable variables. We know we are in a country where people don't have a lot of money. So guess what? If somebody wants to treat his kidney today, the amount of people that can afford to go to an Evercare is tiny. The amount of people that can afford to go to Lagoon to do it is tiny. So it leaves you with, I need to go to my local hospital to tell me what is wrong, which is probably going to be malaria anyway. You understand? And then we take the drug. Eventually, we don't even go to the point of getting a diagnosis of, okay, this is what is wrong with you. You have to say, but he's been falling sick all these years. But my issue is, why isn't there a sort of, I just feel it's not explored enough. So like, okay, primary healthcare centers, they're not run, there's not a lot of private ones. First of all, there's not a lot of places you could just go to just say, what is wrong with me? You understand? Standard. I just feel personally, it's the same person that would give you the consultant that will tell you what is wrong with you in Nigeria. In most cases, you go to the hospital, they will tell you, oh, you have kidney disease. The same hospital will say, we'll give you this treatment here. So it's like almost like you are in a conundrum. So you now say, let's go and get a second opinion. You go to the second guy, thinking that one is not ready to make money, and say, oh yeah, what is wrong with me? Oh no, it's not kidney. It's actually your liver that is turned upside down. So invariably, this is the treatment you need. Suddenly you go abroad. Bro, nothing is wrong with you. You actually just need to take that drug and you're fine. My point is, where is the balance? Who is sitting down for all these things to say, good health? And why I like this conversation is basically, we're not 50, 60-year-old people that are used to a certain structure before. We are younger people who basically understand, okay, we've seen this problem growing up. We've been there. We've basically seen. So who's making the change? Who is doing the whole healthcare reform from a Gen Z perspective? At least Gen Zs are bold at getting money for apps. Why is no Gen Z getting money for hospitals?
Yeah, they're just in the last.
Which of them?
I use myself as an example.
Yeah, no, that's the point. So, the point I'm trying to make is that do we need to start questioning ourselves as a private sector or keep blaming the government forever for?
I think I think people just need to. I'm not sure where the issue is, but I feel like you said, healthcare is not a very interesting sector. So there are very limited resources to it. If I sit down in a room now today to pitch to a bunch of philanthropists about healthcare, 4 out of 5 of them will not be interested.
Why?
I don't know. That question I can't answer. I don't know. I coin it down to they don't believe in the business of it, or they just don't feel like it's profitable. And that's why I say things like you find a couple of people, 4 or 5 people out of thousands who are interested in investing, and that's because maybe they have personal experiences, it resonates personally with them, or they just genuinely like the idea. It's not like other things that are just easy to fund. Again, and that's because, like I said, healthcare business is not cheap business. Turnovers are not going to come in every day. They're not going to come in as soon as you start. It's not like a product that I put in the market and then 2 days after you hear that, oh, they've done 3 billion in sales. It doesn't work like that. And then there are days where there will be no sales. Like you said, we also have, although we're in business, we also have to put in our empathy first. So it's a bit dicey. Healthcare business cannot always.
Okay, so let me first. I think in terms of investment, a lot of times it comes down to matching. If I go to a place where people believe in investing in real estate, I'm not going to get money for tech. If I go to a place where they believe in investing in book writing, I'm not going to get money for photography. I think a lot of time is about the matching. But just to put context around it, let's say an average primary healthcare center, what does it cost? Let's paint it out in so we can at least for me the context so I can understand it.
In figures or in
No, okay, so let's say you need rent.
So you need rent.
Okay.
You need as little as at least one doctor's consultation room.
Okay.
You need a nursing station, dressing center or dressing room. Depending on the capacity of what you want primary health center to do, we can do basic investigation. But at the very least, we should have at least a laboratory where we can at least take blood, store blood, do many other things like full blood count, malaria, the likes, hematology, simple things, nothing too high phallus and that. So yes, we need a laboratory, we need examination couch, observation rooms. And like I said, these things don't come very cheap, except you want to do it very shabby. So for example, a regular hematology machine, which would usually just check full blood count, $7,000, $8,000. Why? That's just one machine in the lab.
Okay, let's go now. 7,000. So $7,000 one machine. What more do you need? I'm trying to get to a number. I want to understand.
No, so for a decent primary health center, let's use Naira now. Maybe like 120 can get you
120 million.
Yes. Can get you a functioning basic primary health. And I'm talking one doctor's consultation room, one nursing station, basic full blood count, malaria, typhoid, here and there, test for the laboratory, a decent wound dressing room. Every primary health center should at least be able to take delivery.
Okay, so wait. How many in every local government, how many primary health centers do you think is optimal in Nigeria? Optimal, not
depends on the size of the local government.
No, let's just say
government vary from very. I can't tell you two.
Okay, per person. Let's stick with per person.
Per person. Let's do ratio of patient to doctor.
Okay.
One doctor, 50, 100 people. That's not the ideal thing, but we can live with that.
One doctor to 50 to 100 people. 50 to 100. So if I take 200 million people and I stick with the 100, that means I am talking That's what? 1 million hospitals? Or 2 million hospitals, more or less. 2 million doctors. Let's assume an average of 4 doctors per center. Let's say 5. So technically, we're talking 500,000 hospitals. 500,000 hospitals in 120 million. Technically, do you know how many cars that are above 100 million? Some owned by medical professionals, though. Some owned by people who complain about bad healthcare. Some owned by all of us. So don't get me wrong. I'm never into the position of people should just use all their money to provide for their own nation. I'm trying to say that when we say funding is a problem, I'm saying that they didn't get these things we are buying with our money. We didn't get money from investors to go and buy a car, to buy a house, to buy this, to buy that. My issue is, when do we start looking inward to say, okay, you know what? Nigerian population actually can raise money for these things. Who is thinking of how to package this, our set of people? You understand? Like, I see a guy, don't get me, just sorry, I see people with huge amount of money in Nigeria. But I am sure a lot of times, and these guys are some of them have large hearts. Some of them are like, okay, you know what, I just want to save. They do one philanthropy or the other in their own capacity. Do you think the fact is maybe health professionals are not really marketing the need for these things to this set of people? Or they are because I don't really see anyone after that sort of, we need to create 500,000 hospitals in Nigeria, and this is the business plan. This is how we're going to run it. This is how I'm going to do it.
Remember that I said earlier that medical doctors are not business people. That's the issue here. That's why I'm not seeing a lot of people say that, we need to do funding for this, do funding for that. We're focused more on our patients. And that's where the issue is, to be fair. Because like you said, if we are able to match an investor who's interested in healthcare with a doctor who has a great idea, they become a perfect match. But then again, the doctor is not thinking about it. And then the person who has the money doesn't have enough time to be looking for who's interested and who's not. But I think certain challenges, certain situations have forced us into. So let me use COVID as an example. COVID happened and the world shut down and everybody could not go anywhere. And it was a real shocking for a lot of people that if I don't invest in certain things, it's going to be disastrous. And that's why I saw a lot of healthcare structures come up after COVID, because believe me, a lot of people lost their loved ones to lack of basic things. I saw people die because there was oxygen, but there was no nose mask to connect the cylinder to the canister.
Wow.
I saw people, I have been in situations where you're like, you know what, this is money, save my loved one, and it's impossible. So there still has to be that structure, or maybe that institute that marries people that have the ideas with people that have the funding, because like you said, a lot of money out there, there are a lot of doctors out there. It's just now finding them together or getting them together. And I don't know what that's going to happen, because most doctors just sit down and complain every day. Or just say, oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, but not really doing anything about it. Here and there, we buy one nose mask here, buy this there, and then everybody's good to go. The average doctor is like the average doctor anywhere in the world, like a typical Nigerian. I always say that Nigerians can put them anywhere and they will adapt. Medical doctors are like that. We've been trained to adapt to whatever situation. This is not to say it only happens to Nigerians. You can put a Caucasian doctor in the forest and with no equipment. His instinct, his survival mode is to just save this person's life with whatever is made available, no matter how Nigerian doctor. So even if the equipment are not available, they make do what is available. Moving back to Nigeria, like I always say, that was a real shocking for me. So you walk into a hospital and then there's no toiletries. And then I see them using gloves and I'm like, yeah. But I didn't think about it. But Nigerian person, like, it still takes the blood. What's the issue? What's the big fuss about it? I remember one time when I was in Zaria, they are taking me to O&G department and they wanted me to listen to heartbeat. And I'm like, okay, so where's the tourniquet? They're like, oh, you're going to use that cone. And I'm like, no, the cone is in the museum. Why do I have to use the cone? And then I became a laughing stock. My lecturer literally told me that I was a lazy girl. I wanted the easy way out. But guess what? They put my ear to that cone. I didn't hear anything. And I knew that I was endangering a mother and an unborn child because I was just faffing around doing my local thing that I had no idea about. So these things happen.
Your ear to a cone.
Yeah, so there's this cone, I don't know what it's called. There's this, anybody that can really help me with it. It's the cone where you put your ear to the mother, you locate, so you're supposed to locate the back of the baby and then you put the cone to it and then you listen to the heartbeat and count the heartbeat.
And some people do that and get the heartbeat.
It's a method.
Wow.
But I'm coming from a place where all you have to do is use an ultrasound to locate the heartbeat. It calculates the beats, shows you the rhythm, and
then you say, let's go.
In like 5 seconds, you get it and you're moving on. In Lagos here, you see people who are struggling to get blood samples. I'm coming from where you just put infrared ray over the arm, you're able to locate the vein, plug, extract the blood, and you're moving on. Do you get? But Lagos here is like, what do you need it for? You're not a good doctor if you cannot identify the vein. But guess what? These people are still getting the job done. They're still saving lives. So Nigerian doctors are actually superheroes because they get things done with very little resources.
But resources from who though? The infrared rays was not provided by the British government.
But it's funding.
Yeah.
Funds by it.
I understand. See, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to displace the place of funding, ever. Funding is good for every business. But I've also come to the understanding that there is no recurring funding for anyone. Like, oh, today we need 20 million, take. We need 30 million, take. We need, no, there's no such thing. Every of these institutions you see that have more amazing stuff, everything, a lot of them had to save. They're actually like, okay, you know what? Today we're targeting $1 million. Okay, you know what? In that $1 million, we're going to retain 200K. Let's buy this equipment, that equipment. You understand? Nigerians generally, we have a different method of saving for business. In business savings there's a first layer.
Nigeria is a different place.
There's a first layer which covers the outlook of the person. Then there is the business, okay, is making money, okay, yes, let's go. But because for me, when people tell me equipment can be bought. You understand? When you tell me people, I know a lot of very successful Nigerian doctors outside Nigeria. So we have people. Because there is no way anybody can tell me that, oh yeah, we have a guy left Nigeria, it was one training they gave him in 3 months that made him a successful doctor abroad. It's a bloody lie. A lot of times, all you need to put people in is a position of practice. And then they adjust to everything. So, and primary healthcare centers are not really, they're there, they're amazing, great, but nobody is recruiting anybody to come and do primary healthcare center like that in Nigerian private healthcare sector, where we recruit for this big hospital, everybody is working to get to the consultant and all those sort of things. So my point is, I used to, I remember when my wife was pregnant, the doctor that started the consultation, the first one, messaged us one day, I'm now in Canada, so and so. We go to the second one. Second one, so and so and so. If the third doctor, three, in a space of 9 months, was, I think the third one was one that delivered. 3 doctors, 9 months. And I'm like, okay, these are the people that you call not good, but they are being offered jobs abroad to come and do the same thing they were doing here Is that doctor going to go back to school, to a US school or a Canadian school, say, okay, let me go and read my BSc all over again because the textbook I read in Lagos was wrong? No. He's going to basically get a few certifications here and there, become a specialist, and tomorrow you say, Nigerian doctor be the first person to do this in Canada, Nigerian doctor first to do this in Malaysia, and we keep going like that, on and on. But so, yes, our system might be failing us, but I don't think the system is really just the government alone. I think the system is actually, you work in a place and you're looking at the guy that is recruiting you, and you're like, we don't have computers to even document things. But outside, you're fine. You are fine. So everybody, until we all as entrepreneurs start working with the mindset that everyone around us, we're not the only one with dreams, we're not the one with ambitions. The guy you hire to come work for you also want to one day have a house, however impossible it might sound. He also want to one day have a house in Ikoyi or do something amazing for themselves. So when people go around with this big shoulder, I'm a leader, as a leader, you must be able to do all those sort of things. And I'm always like, okay, but that guy that is with you, what happened to him? We want to keep leading every day of our lives, but guess what? We're restricting the ecosystem by not funding it enough. Because for me, I look at all these things and I'm like, why would they not? But I've gone to hospitals that are big names, and the guy will be writing your everything. Like, I'm like, wait, he's writing. I asked the doctor one day, I'm like, why do people still, you don't use, the owners just believe that it is better to write it down.
Like I said, we're evolving. Healthcare is evolving in Nigeria.
It needs to evolve fast too.
We're trying, but again, a lot of people have to still come on board. I've had a lot of colleagues japa and believe it's not really anywhere.
Yeah,
but
for
I
sure.
think for them, it's more of, like you said, better resources. A lot of people leave not because they don't want to stay back or don't believe in the Nigerian dream. I think for most of my colleagues that japa in the last couple of years, be more pay. Doctors are not paid greatly.
Even in the private sector?
Sadly, like you said, the founders want to make this money and want to keep it in a specific circle. But like I said, we're trying to change the narrative. I believe that if I'm going to charge premium for a particular service, I should be able to hire people who understand that are even able to represent that premium here. And in turn, you have to pay them for these things. I'm not going to pay you quote unquote peanuts and expect you to be wearing a well-gaitered trouser to work every day. How do I expect you to fund it? Do you get what I'm trying to say? So again, it also goes down to the people. I always tell people that everything boils down to people and structure and how you want to see things being done. Things are changing. It's not as bad as it used to be. That's what was put out there. Things are changing. Yes, are we moving at the speed that we're expected to? No. But things are changing.
Okay, so let me paint. Okay. This is when you said it now, you made me laugh. So there was this particular treatment, a surgery that someone I know was trying to do once. The person that it was something to do with the brain, more or less. And they brought this specialist that is supposed to be the brain specialist. When I got there, I looked at the guy, I'm like, this is like a very expensive surgery. Eventually, they didn't do it in Nigeria. They just had to say, let's fly the guy out and everything. Because what the guy told me, he said, I look at the cost of the thing, and I look at the guy to do it. And I'm like, there is no way this money is going to this guy. But that leads me to my next question. What's an average doctor's pay in a big hospital in Nigeria? Let's even start from there.
That's a very tricky one. I'm not going to put numbers there because everybody has their structure and how they do things.
Yeah, I get it. But let's just humor ourselves. If I say, okay, doctors are extremely important in Nigeria, are they paid 500K?
Again,
or less. No, let's say, hold
it
on,
depends on where you find
an
yourself.
entry-level GP in the in the best paying hospital in Nigeria.
A very generous hospital, very kind-hearted CEO, maybe 500.
So less than an entry-level banker would earn. A doctor.
And again, that's me being very generous.
Wait, the guy that is supposed to save the life of these people that we are putting the hospital for is paid 200 and, let's say 500K in the generous world. 5 years experience.
Again, it all has to do with negotiating.
Let's just assume we are humoring ourselves. 600. Okay. 10 years experience.
You've tried, you put in the work, some gray here and there. So let's say a little less than 1 million. That's almost impossible, though. But let's just
10 years.
Yes, that's almost. Except you own your own practice. And this me being honest to you.
10 years of medical practice.
As a GP, you're not a consultant. Yeah.
We'll get to consultants.
Yeah, and that's me being, and that's you practicing either in Ikoyi or VI, not on the mainland. As a GP, that's a lot.
That means you could literally steal a 10-year experienced doctor from Nigeria for just the price of $2,000 a month.
Or less, 1,000.
Abroad.
Yes. They will live for 1,000, believe me.
Wow.
And then that's why I don't blame people because they're poorly paid.
Yeah, but I'm confused. Isn't there like a regulation that says, okay, doctors are supposed to earn minimum this amount?
Is there a regulation for how much anybody pays anybody?
Oh, true.
There's no regulation for these things. Nigerians do what they like. And believe me, because the average person needs the job to survive, they will take anything and everything. But now, we're getting to a generation where people are speaking. I'm now in the hiring process and I see people coming. For example, I was doing an interview for the role of a nurse. And we had a conversation. Believe me, my facility is one of the highest paid. And then I offered her the price. And she looked at me and said, "Did you say the school I went to? It would be an insult to my father if I took the salary." Respectfully, I declined. Honestly, that statement, and that she was bold enough to ask for more, had me thinking. As I said, "What? Give me a break. Let me think about it. You think about it. Let's come back to the table. Let's see how much we can actually pay." I negotiated higher, and I'm going to pay her higher. Again, I feel like people don't talk about these things because these fundings are there. If it was the HR officer that did that, I already told her that it was the price to pay. She was going to just say, "Okay, no, I didn't find anybody in this price." Younger people are talking more, they're speaking up more. So you see someone, a fresh out of school, come to an interview and say, "Oh, if you're not paying me $1 million, don't worry." And then they go to a tech firm. You don't have to be a doctor. It's just common sense for this tech to just have to have something off there. And then tech bros are paying them $5,000. And they are wondering why this is value. You see a lot of doctors do other kind of things. I have a lot of colleagues who I went to schools who were very great at what they do, who are now in Lagos running multinational things that don't even concern them. I have a colleague now. He owns the biggest bakery in Lagos, runs number. Was one of the best in the class.
So we lost that one. But we gained him in bakery though.
Yes, we gained him in bakery. Jiggets. And then if you hear his story, I saw some days ago where he was talking about on Instagram, and he said he was like, the reason why I went to the bakery was because they were not paying him. It was in probably one teaching hospital in Ibadan. It was peanuts, and his girlfriend at the time could bake, and they were baking, and it was like, this baking, me being an assistant baker, it's not making me more money than asking for head and cough and kata every day. So he left it. It is what it is. Anyhow you look at it. When I said start my own practice too, this is not to make me feel like, oh, I'm a superhero. I left to start my own practice too because I thought that, oh, I could make more money. I had the potential to do this, and I don't think I was being appreciated enough for what I brought to the table. I used to work for a multinational where I felt like I did most of the jobs. And then the white men just sat down at the table and figurehead. And so, like, you know what? I have some funding here and there. I can as well do this thing and make the money for myself. But then again, like I said, it's my generation that is taking those bold steps. The older doctors, you still find doctors in, I don't want to call any area, but you still find doctors on the mainland who are like in their 60s, still practicing. You ask them, maybe they're making 200,000.
Wow.
But that's not to say that you're not finding doctors that are fresh out of school making 3 million naira in this same thing.
No. See, the generations would always change. At least I feel when I was I was leading teams of maybe 10 or 15. I think my salary was lower than what some people earn. But then guess what? The inflation then was not the same as today. So I feel in today's world, to have a doctor that is 200K a month, say, I'm going to wake up in the night to go and attend to my patient. That person needs to be really, really large hearted. He needs to be like, I am genuinely just committed to this cause. But if it is normal, he's not going to move.
I don't think you see any doctor who has gone through 60. Medicine is tedious. Those that make it to the Hippocratic oath are people who genuinely care about. And that's why I say a lot of doctors still live from hand to mouth. Not like they don't like the money, but we usually always put our patients first, anyhow you look at it. There was a post I put up yesterday on my Instagram where I was saying that doctors are not appreciated because there are days where we leave our loved ones to go and attend to your own loved ones. There's so many things like that. For example, someone asked me the other day that, oh, did you do exclusive breastfeeding? I'm like, how? I got
They're not
back,
even at home.
I got back to Nigeria 3 weeks after having my baby. I was at work the next day because my patient had missed me. But that's me leaving a 3-week-old baby at home. Do you get? So typically, most doctors do this not because of the funding, but because they genuinely care about or they like what they do. A fulfilled day for me is not looking at how much we made. A fulfilled day for me is seeing that patient who came in helpless go back home, reassured, healthier, happier, has a clearer picture of what he's dealing with. That's not to say that I don't want to make money. And that's why I said I'm terrible at business. Because believe me, for me, that's a great day. A great day is, oh, this man came in, he had a headache, he had a waist pain, I gave him this, and it's better. For me, we have done well. For my business people and finance people, how much did we make today? If we didn't make total amount of millions, we failed that today. So that's two different people with two different focus, two different ideas of how a hospital business should be run.
Okay. But because the point is, I'm looking at this thing you said, and this is something for me personally, I was always very conscious about getting the right balance every time. And I'll walk you through one of the things. I'm one of those people that could actually say, oh, let's live for free now. Doesn't matter, let's move on. I have a lot of things I do now that are basically just money in, no money out. Quite a lot. And not because I just want to waste money, but because I feel, okay, if we are in a point in this country where our investment needs to be a lot more impact focused than return focused. I get the fact that, oh yeah, let's be able to drive people, but the point is, how many people will pay for? Some people need to lift the weight, really. But since a lot of people are not lifting it, well, people like me just say, we're going to do our share and move on. Now, I'm of this, so what I'm trying to share is that a lot of times, I don't think bad business is saying, let's just do it anyways. I think the worst part of that whole decision is in the person not even realizing how much has been done for them.
Okay.
Rather than, because the way I look at it, there's this whole principle that a person that is able to come tomorrow when they have is stronger than a new customer that is able to pay tomorrow. So you save a person from kidney disease today. Oh, tomorrow he recovers. He now says, you know what? This hospital has helped my life. I want to be better. I want to go back there. And they can pay tomorrow for it. But tomorrow you are going to have to go market another person to come and pay. So if that guy makes it out of that place and is able to pay tomorrow, You don't need to convince him anymore. You've already done your marketing. These guys have blessed me. I'm just going to go there and do it again. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, that person is just going to take their money and fly abroad next time. He's not going to remember that somebody saved his life. So that's what I'm saying. The worst part of actually doing that for free is in that person not appreciating the fact that, oh, I was helped. But so let me take my money back there and make sure I can do it again tomorrow. Instead, not fly out and go and say, Eshe gone, bye bye, I don't go. I've had people who basically almost died and told themselves, I'm never going to live in this country again.
I have a lot of patients like that.
They would literally go and like, oh, basic. But guess what? I think we need to start realizing that at a point, yes, there is no regulation. That's where government is failing. There is no infrastructure in the government centers. But the private person that said, I want to do hospital, you understand? What of the person? You understand what I'm saying? What of that person who says, oh, I'm doing a hospital, what should we do? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. To me, it's about what standard are we keeping alive for the people who took that baiting and said, Mio, I'm ready to help all of you. Let's go. And that for me is more the issue, is the real question. What are we keeping as standard for people that are actually saying, boom, I'm a medical practitioner, I own a hospital and I want to get it up. So for me, it's just that level of, in the private sector, are we failing more people than even the government is failing? Let's say government didn't pay them well. Oh yeah, government hospitals are bad. Great stuff. Private hospital, how are you? You see, and these are not, at least I'm aware of the numbers we were making when I was working in the health sector. And I see how much people were paid. And luckily for me, I worked in a healthcare company where the specialists are paid huge amount of money. But one thing caught my eye. The highest paid person in that hospital does maybe 2 processes a year. Does not even make 20% of the money they pay him. And he's not a Nigerian. And every time, we always ask, oh, it's good for it keeps people coming to the hospital, so and so. And I'm like, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not saying whether it's good to pay or not. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, yes, we can pay these guys this value. But you know the funny thing? A lot of people will pay that due more if we actually said, we believe in this system, we're going to pay ourselves that much.
Okay.
Why do you think the bank sector thrived? They paid. Why is the telecom sector thriving? They paid. If you pay peanuts, people would run. It's simple. See, I always believe that as the company grows, you need to grow people with it. Microsoft, Google, they have people that are not even founders that made multi-billion-dollar people. Not the founder, just people with upper stocks. And then boom. Elon Musk is going to earn $1 trillion. You think the next person to him is going to earn $900,000? No, they are going to be paid big. So the point is, the real culture that we need to remove from these systems is a culture of now only me need chop. I'm the only one that need to eat. So guess what? All of you, whatever dream you have, keep sending your kids to public school. Me, my kid will be going to Harvard. I want to do my checkup in the hospital I do not own. Drive a car that is... So when I park the car right in front of you, I walk through the lobby, my perfume is still running for the next 3 days. See me and sit down and eat that salary I give to you. But then guess what? I need you to save lives.
It doesn't look at me.
So it's not a government problem, really. Yes, it's a government problem. Government is...
No, but you know, I never thought it was the government.
No, I'm just saying. I'm removing the factor. I'm trying to put, because I see too much, when you hear healthcare in Nigeria, the government is not... Just check the next 3 phrases. Government will be inside. But guess what? The doctor that is not well paid in an Ikeja hospital owned by somebody that is making 10x what even a government hospital is making.
Maybe what if you don't make it that way?
Well, then they won't be driving the G-Wagon and the other this and the and all those sort of things. They won't be doing all that, right?
Yes, I definitely get what you're trying to say. I understand that, like you say, as the business grows, people need to, but I think that's one thing that you should actually put into perspective because, like I said, most people who do healthcare business take advantage of the doctor's empathy, the doctor's. I feel like if you do your job, it has nothing to do with how you do it. If you think they've earned the right, there should be some certain level of reward. And that's why you see likes of the tech people. I'll continue to use an example because they speak up. They speak for when they do this, there's KPIs, the things that they've measured and they're able to use to go back to the negotiating table. For the doctors, like I said, we are too soft-hearted, or the older generation now, the newer generation of doctors are not soft-hearted. They don't care about you. They don't care about, this not that they don't care about saving lives. Believe me, the numbers also make as much sense to them as actually being doctors. So I'm glad that that is coming into play. I'm hoping that in the next couple of years, we'll see more people speak up for how doctors are being paid. I'm not an advocate of, like you said, if you pay peanuts, you get peanuts. So you have to pay more to get more. Because I'm not going to sit you down in that office, pay you 100,000, 200,000, and sit a CEO in front of you. And then you see who has paid me maybe $1,000 for this consultation, and then he looks at you and is like, "This is what my life is worth." Because literally, the doctor is literally handling your life.
Yeah.
And
Sit down there and like, hey Joe, let me book that flight. I won't go.
You get what I'm trying to say. So we're still trying. Private hospitals are trying. Private entities are putting in effort. You now know that you need to put in the effort into it. You can't walk into a private hospital and everybody is made up by dial anymore. You have to put in effort. You have to be aesthetically pleasing.
Annoy me.
Yes, it's true because those are the kind of things that are put into place. Where I used to work before, you can't walk in there and see certain things happen. And that's, like I said, it's a cultural thing because it has translated into me. You can't walk into Medics Partners and think that it's a hospital. If I tell you that we're a big facility, you're not going to argue with anybody. And if I tell you that, okay, you know what? For this thing, XYZ, this, your bill is $10,000. The doctor that spoke to you, you can tell that he's worth $10,000. You get the service you rendered is worth it. And so you will not question paying. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. But if I give you shabby service and I now give you that bill, you're not come back the next day. I've had people say things like, oh, I went to this place, they billed me, I paid, but I did not go back because I did not believe what they were saying. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So again, it's a check and balance thing for everybody. But I think that employers are doing better because they are also now aware that Nigerians have choices, especially doctors and nurses. They have choices. They're spoiled for choice, actually. Yesterday, I watched in the news where somebody in the Canadian government was saying that there's now a dedicated entry level for doctors and nurses into Canada. You don't have to go into the common man pool anymore. That's to tell you how much of a demand healthcare professionals anywhere in the world. In the UK, same. I had my baby somewhere outside of the country, and my whole team were Nigerians. And I looked at it and I said to myself that
Nigerians outside the country.
yes, my full team, the only foreigner on my team was my anesthesiologist. The whole team were Nigerians. And I asked myself that there's nothing they did that they couldn't have done in Nigeria. The only difference is they're getting paid better. There was nothing fantastic about what they did. It was just things work. The system works for them. The nurse did not have to worry about if the baby came out, what if the baby did not cry, what she needed to do, because she knew that, okay, if this baby comes out and also cry, there's an ambu bag, there's this, there's that. Like, if she needs 700 equipment when the baby cries, it was available. As compared to in Nigeria, you are here struggling to get the child out. You're also struggling to make sure the baby comes out. There's something to help you do your job. I don't know if you get what I'm trying. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense to you. So the burden of, they're thinking of what can be wrong. Okay, this is what is wrong. Oh my God, do I even have what it is to treat what is wrong? Okay, if I do this, do I have supporting staff to assist me? Do you get? The only difference between that and abroad is, like you said, they don't change training. The training is there. For me, I've tasted both training. I can tell you for a fact that medicine in Nigeria is different. Medicine in Nigeria is thorough. If you can survive medical school in Nigeria, you can survive anywhere in the world because it's a different ballgame. They take their time to teach you rather. But the difference here is after everything has been taught, the equipment, the things to make it work are not there. And that's why Nigerians are easily lured abroad because things work abroad. The structure, the system, everything is in place for them. So that's what it is. Back to the question, Nigerians now have choices and employers now know that they have choices. And if you don't want to pay them, believe me, NHS is waiting for them. Oh, NHS is waiting for them. Walk into any trust in London, someone speaking Yoruba next to you, and you're wondering, where am I? Someone is speaking Igbo, somebody is this. Nigerians are thriving outside of Nigeria. Nothing has changed. The only thing is that people appreciate what they're bringing to the table and they're being paid. They feel like they're more appreciated for what they're doing. Because medicine is what's the word now? Help me. Service of labor, service, how they say it?
Me, I'm out of that.
But if I must render myself and give myself totally to this cause, the least I can
Somebody
do
must
is,
take care of me. At least that's the least thing I mean,
I always jokingly tell all my colleagues, I'm like, when I leave home every day and leave my loved ones at home, what comforts them is the fact that my child can go to the best school. Mommy may not be home, but if you need to take ice cream, you can at least take the best ice cream when mom is absent. I don't even get that right. It's shameful when mom is not home. You cannot take ice cream.
you can't even see fan to sleep.
So what is mommy doing? And then we're in a generation where people are talking. This new generation of children will ask mommy, so where have you been going to? Every morning that you wake up and go, where do you go to if you cannot buy me a Paw Patrol? A basic thing. You get what I'm trying to say? So I'm glad that people are talking about it and it's getting my closure. I'm glad we're having this conversation today because also I'm taking it back to my business to go and evaluate. I'm like, okay, I'm paying you guys well, but how else can I pay you guys? I always tell people, a lot of my colleagues say things like, oh, I'm spoiling my staff. But I say things like, that's the only way to keep them now. Sadly.
But one thing that is not common in Nigeria, though, that I see a lot. So, to give you an example, most of an Elon Musk's pay, for example, comes from Tesla is not going to go and bring up 1 trillion naira in cash and say, take. No, it's going to be stocks in most cases. I feel Nigerians don't give up a lot for themselves. So let's take, for example, you have a business, you own 100%, you're paying the guys. You cannot compete with an Evercare, for example. But there's potential. This thing is growing, it's going to grow. Okay. What if I say to all of you, okay, no, this is an initiative. Every one of you, if you stay for 5 years, you'll get X% of this company, Y% of this company, B% of this company. A Nigerian will tell you of what? So they'll come and own you'll be like, let them, but you are not even giving them up to 10%. Would they really strong arm you by owning 10%? So if that business grew 200% of 600 or 1 billion% in the next 5 years, imagine what joy somebody like that would always look up to. I remember back then, I used to work with a multinational. Every day I worked so hard. Oh my God, I wasn't sleeping. I will go to my system and I'll be calculating what is the value of my options. If they sell at this amount, this is what I will get. That is what people kill for. There is no company in the world that you can pay you enough of salary. But when you believe in a business, trust me, when they offer you equity, sit with it. Because that's the only part that it becomes, okay, you know what? If tomorrow we're selling this business for $100 million, guess what? That $10 million will be bad money to share. For all of us, forget you people between your politics on this thing. Those people would literally So when you don't take care of people, you look at I look at a lot of legacies. People built legacies that they left to only their kids. Okay, and the kid burnt everything to the ground in a few months, or they don't even care, or they sell it to somebody else.
Did you sell?
But I think just to close out the the conversation, and really I think it's been a really great conversation. But because in my head when I started it, I was like, okay, we're going to discuss hygiene of people, all those sort of things. But guess what? I think just understanding the real complication of the health sector, because I've always had it in mind that okay, what really is the issue? What is because when you go abroad, you are seeing this frowning receptionist, you are seeing like what is like, hey, come to me. No, they are like, what's this? But we still go there and pay. So, and then you want to be treated. It's a Nigerian that is treating you. You're not saying, no, don't touch me, but you are enjoying the service. You go, you come home. Oh, yeah, they have good healthcare abroad. But I've never been able to know what that good healthcare means in Nigeria. And in my head, what it just means from this conversation is simply one, people are under the work environment is not great in a lot of places. Two, like equipment almost non-existent. If I'm not even talking public sectors now, I'm saying actual people that set up hospitals to be able to even cater for people. They don't have equipment to do. So I say I'm a hospital, but I don't have things to do the job. Why did you open the office? Like, just it's okay. Sorry, we are not able to buy equipment. Oh, close it, move on. But guess what? Because the owner is a doctor or he wants to practice. Oh, guess what? No, you come. When you come, oh yeah, yeah, we don't have paracetamol.
But we can give you this. It will also do the job. And Nigerians are very quick to accept nothing,
Because we don't even know what the real thing is.
unfortunately.
Sometimes you do, I always tell people this thing. Sometimes you don't know how good or bad you're treated until you see what the optimal service or value is.
That reminds me of something. This you just said now. Usually, doctors, after you graduate, you do housemanship. And during our housemanship year, they had said everybody should pick a topic. And I just noticed that women that give birth in Nigeria, they don't go through painkiller. So I picked the topic pain management in delivery, labor and delivery. And I remember very well my consultant telling me that she had always known I'm a very lazy girl and a joker. And I'm like, because I picked pain management. And even after I presented to everybody, to me it was a great presentation. Believe me, if I had presented the same thing in my school, they would have applauded me. But everybody looked at me and said, oh, it's not a problem. Has any woman ever told you that she has an issue? But guess what? This woman did not even know that there were options to pain management. A lot of people go to give it abroad, not because necessarily, yes, they all want the citizenship, but some people also go to countries that have no business with citizenship. People are giving it in the UK with nothing in return. Why? Because the experience is different. Why do I have to go through so much pain to bring another life? But women in Nigeria don't even know that there are options to pain management during labor, which is surprising to me. So like you said, it's also not even, the information is not out there. And so when you give them, they're even very skeptical.
Sorry, do you mind if I ask you what these options are? Because me, I've never heard of pain management.
There are different options. There's gas management, is pretty much mimics the likes of laughing gas. It helps manage the pain. There's epidural. There are different types. There's intravenous one, any type that you are most comfortable with. Most times, most common one is epidural. It helps you manage. It's excruciating pain. The least you can do is be comfortable throughout the whole process. So for most people, it's either the gas or the epidural. Those are the ones that are strong enough to take this control. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Only in the very exposed, I don't even think of my hospital today. As we're saying that we're even still making up, I don't think that they do it in Nigeria. I don't think they prioritize it in Nigeria. I don't know why, but it's not done. And then even the private hospitals, epidural is epidural. You give epidural for cesarean, you give epidural for appendectomy and the like. So why can't you give an epidural for vaginal delivery? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but it's now termed luxury. It's actually a luxury service in Nigeria. But pain management everywhere in the world is basic.
That luxury thing, eh?
It's basic. Like, she's in pain. Her pain needs to be controlled. It's so basic that if you give birth anywhere, in any rural area, even in, I don't know, anywhere, a regular midwife, she will manage your pain. But in Nigeria, and I've also said, and I don't think that culture, society has dug so deep into healthcare that you hear some people say things like, I want to give it like the Hebrew woman. So they are by themselves declining these things because, again, they don't know so much. I'm just not saying that religion is not great, but there's also a lot of people say, oh, my this said this, my dad said this, and so I'm not going to take it. You hear people say things like the life and death situation, you need to get this cesarean, and I'm like, never. I will call my pastor, I'll call my imam, I'll call my baba, they will pray for me and I'll walk. So I'm like, it's not that serious. If I'm telling you need to get something done, it's because every other option has failed. But then again, we're so much of a religious society.
Let's leave that one.
That also happens. And then I also hear things like, this is not to put myself in the place of God or anything, but I've had multiple situations where a patient comes in pretty bad, we tidy her up, and she's out there and she goes and just say, oh, I'm thanking God, I'm doing this, doing that. I never in that statement will you hear, oh, I'm thanking the doctors. And this is not to say I'm God, but
God has used you to save a life.
You get what I'm trying to say? So all those things also play. A major part of healthcare, so when you talk about, so if I'm going to really break it down, after funding and people, the next thing is religion. Religion is doing a major harm in healthcare. Major harm. Because you also see people refuse treatment because of religious beliefs.
Wow.
Yes. People reduce or refuse certain procedures because of their beliefs. Now, this is not to disrespect anybody's belief or anything, but
Why not get treated?
but that's it to be for another day. Because it's a very wild one.
And
it's not narrowed down to only Nigeria. It happens everywhere.
I've been in that thing. I've been in that whole. I used to be. I remember back then. There's somebody I used to really follow a lot, and the person would say, "I've never been sick in X number of years," and I always just believed it was like something. So one day, now I'm one of those people that pick a lot of stuff from people. I really, if I am listening to you, I actually do listen. So no matter how much distracted I think I am picking everything. So one day the guy was saying, a day came, I went to do a checkup at the hospital. And the doctor told me I had high blood pressure. And I said, no, it's not me. And then I said, check again. Then he checked again and he said, I don't have high blood pressure. And I said, okay, great. In my mind, I'm like,
that's the classic Nigerian.
First of all, you went to the hospital. You've not been sick in 20 something years. So we are following you, not using drugs. You saying we are not sick. But you went to the hospital to do checkup. What did you go do there? Okay, first of all, then now that you have high blood pressure, then you check again. So that means there was a moment they saw you with high blood pressure. Okay, God cured you in 2 seconds. Since that day, if I hospital, yeah, let's carry our head. Hospital, let's go. If you go and let one belief drag you inside one corner, God help you.
But that's just you.
No, but that's the point. The point is people don't give the full context of any conversation. We never do. You have not been sick. So I have a family I know. If they are sick, they take paracetamol. Worst case, paracetamol. Nothing else. They never go else hospital. They'll tell you, no, put body water, put anointing oil.
But that's what religion is.
And I'm like, okay. And one day I'm watching this guy shake like this. I'm like, I'm like,
But that's the point where this is to say I'm a very firm believer of always ask for help. That's when their religious leaders should tell them, you're not feeling fine, go to the hospital. I'm not there. I wasn't trained for this. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. And I'll assist you from afar with my prayers, with my support. I don't know, with whatever I'm able to do. But then you see people say things like, I've had staffs that have worked in the same organization as I have worked, be at a life and death position. And then they took themselves to the church instead. They work in the hospital. So that's not to say they don't have information. The information is available to them. Resources are available to them, but they chose to go to church.
Alone shot.
So those is bad. Society is how we're a lot of unlearning to be done about a lot of things. I like that you brought up the high blood pressure. I have a lot of people, and this is not to say that there's no awareness, because I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, there's lack of awareness." It's not about that. I have a lot of people who are CEOs, MDs, big shots at what they are doing, successful people, for lack of a better word, who come in and tell them that they have cardiovascular issues, they have high blood pressure, and they tell them, no, it's not me. And then they some 2 days after, you're wondering why. They're not taking their medication, they're not doing anything. You can't tell them they don't have information because they had access to the best doctors, but they choose to live in denial. Primary health center that you talked about is the reason why it doesn't really thrive, or people think that it's not a lucrative business, because Nigerians don't prioritize preventive health care. Nigerians believe that the reason why you should go to hospital is when you are sick. Point of no return. That's what hospitals are meant for. And that's why you hear a lot of people say things like, "Oh, when I do a medical checkup?" But there's nothing wrong with it now. And you hear people say things like, "I'm not looking for what is not lost." But there's also a saying that in medicine, it's never true in any other society, but it's so true in medicine, that early detection saves. There's no, if it's cancer, if you pick it at stage 1, you have a better prognosis than when you pick it at stage 4. If it's high blood pressure, you pick it at the first stage, it's better than when you pick it at the last stage. For most people, they only present at hospitals as, what's the word now, as terminal, and then they expect us to perform miracles. We don't prioritize, for example, someone's having a headache. So many reasons you can be having a headache. It could be stress, it could be a tumor, I'm taking paracetamol. And it's at the point where we realize that I've taken up to a Emzor factory, and this thing is not stopping. It's at that point that they go to the hospital. Things that we could have salvaged 7 years ago, you're expecting me to miraculously save you now. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. And that's why I'm a very big advocate of, at the very least, check. You're a young man, you're not having protection here and there, and you don't also want to HIV status. How? The other day I was telling someone that there's a pandemic in this region, that on the island, there is a pandemic of hepatitis B. And then the guy was like, never, it can't be me.
Interesting.
It is. I always tell people, like, it sounds like a joke, but if you put 10 people in a room, 10 people between the ages of 18 and 45, 8 out of 10 of those people will test positive.
How many of us are in this studio now?
Unfortunately, it sounds like a joke, but day in, day out, it has played out. And they're not even aware. Why? Because hepatitis B is a very silent killer. The day you find out, by the time you are finding out that you want to do a test, by the time your hepatitis is showing itself to you in true color, you're already at the end. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But then there are also medications to manage these things. But if you don't know, you're not able to manage it. Everybody's afraid of HIV, and nobody's afraid of other things. There are other things that can actually kill people. And then people laugh, and I'm like, hepatitis B is such a terrible disease, but it's also so curable because it has a vaccine. So if you find out, or if you find that you're negative, you get vaccinated against it. So the people that are carriers will not affect you. Do you get? But you don't want to test, you don't want to get vaccinated. There's always one story. The pastor said something about vaccine. This one said, there's always, everybody has their own idea. Like, ChatGPT did this, ChatGPT did that. Google did this, Google said that. Google is trying to replace the doctor. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So we're caught in between a web of so much options, so many information, that we lose the point. We lose the focus. And that's how we end up. I don't know where they end up, but we don't end up at a very great place.
Dr. Busola, I need to bring you back here. We need to continue. We need to go this conversation even deeper. But really, I think it's quite, and I mean that. I really would maybe work on rescheduling this thing, because I really want to. There's still a lot more that needs to be answered, because I feel the problem is, I think in the respect of institutions, one of the biggest problems I see in Nigeria really is that people respect institutions so much that they keep quiet. Oh, you ask, and this is typical. You could see something is wrong. We all know it is wrong. You understand? And we just say, oh yeah, life is good. No issues. Everything is fine. Oh, this thing. and we keep it going that way. So I really feel there is room for us to say, how do we change things up? How do we make things worth our while? How do we, people need to start speaking without caring whose voice you are hearing, who is going to tell you, oh yeah, we don't like that boy's face because he's arrogant. We don't, I always say this thing, I think one of my most called names, other than my own actual name, is arrogant. 99 people that don't even know me, oh, he's arrogant. I don't care. Technically, I really never care. If you don't like my opinions, thank you very much. You like my opinions, God help you. I don't. But we need people to speak up. We need people to say, this thing is wrong. It's actually just wrong. Nothing more.
But it's very hard to find that. There's this very sarcastic saying that I always say. I always say that when a situation doesn't favor you, it's called corruption. When it favors you, it's called connection.
Oh, yes, for sure.
So Nigerians will always find a way around it. There's always one explanation. Nigerians are very smart people. You can never box them into a corner. And that's why you see Nigerians abroad, they excel. There's no way you put in Nigeria. Even if you put them in a hole, they will find their way. So, unfortunately.
It's quite unfortunate. And I think at the same time, it's also very, I don't know, it's just something that culture has brought into the way that we believe somebody, this big man can help me one day. This big system can help me one day. And there is this hope that we have that, okay, if I don't talk against him, one day they will be able to. I remember there was a time a few people were having a few issues with some people, and we're like, okay, you know what? I think maybe we need to just go to court. And 99% of the people I spoke to would always say, oh no, why not speak with them? I'm like, the one I've been saying is only this. What is it? Somebody looked me in the eye, decided he wants to rob me blatantly. Oh yeah, but why not speak with him? Speak with who? No, lawyer up, let him lawyer up, let's go. I think there's a lot of room. There's a lot of, so I feel we're lacking those people a lot of people are getting sucked into the system. And I think the second problem is that in many cases, we've considered people that are basically occupying chairs as PowerPoint. Oh yeah, I know the person that is this. Okay, yeah, but he's okay. He's the CEO of something. Was his father the one that changed the road? Was he? He's not a kingdom. So guess what? One day, things will move on.
But he's turned it into a kingdom in most cases because he'll most likely nominate the next person. And that's why people talk. And that's why we don't. Sorry to cut you, but we don't. In that context, in most times, we don't even value Mary anymore.
Yeah, but you know what merit now does on the side? It does what OPay is doing to the banks. You want to lock yourself into a box? Oh yeah, there's a guy that will create account for people with just no reference. Oh, you want me to go and get references this month? Don't worry, enjoy yourself. Give me your phone number, account. You want me to go and this? What's your account number? OPay. What's your account number? OPay. Don't worry. Enjoy your block. These ones I enjoy. So the point is, we need to empower our heroes more. That for me is my own. If tomorrow I find 10 people who could actually just say, maybe I actually don't need this so-called structures that is being obstacles everywhere. I want to be able to think. I want to be able to say, okay, how do I scale this business from where it is without necessarily needing anybody called an investor or anything? Oh yes, investors are good, but great stuff. But guess what? What you need is a brain to scale any business.
That's all.
I swear to you, you don't. All these investors, they will give you more money. Maybe it's you that will run it for the next 50 years.
There's nothing up there.
So you just want a jump? Oh yeah, guess what? Good stuff. It's good. I'm not saying it, but a brain is first thing. All of that things come after. So yeah, Dr. Busola, it's been amazing, honestly. I really would. I need to make sure we have a second part of this. I need to have another side of it going on because I think it's been quite for me personally. I've actually learned a lot, and I really appreciate the time. So yeah.
Thank you for having me. Hope to come back again.
No
probably have better structure. Miraculously, healthcare could have been working better. We're hoping that this podcast resonates with those I need to.
Don't worry, I'm sure it will.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks a lot. Have a good one. All right, so it's been Not Motivated. Yeah, peace out.